Many years ago, in the serene village of Agbede, there lived an elderly man named Baba Olona. He had moved into the village one fateful rainy afternoon, carrying nothing but a sack and a walking stick. Baba Olona looked frail, his back hunched, his beard wispy and white. His cloudy eyes gave the impression of a man who had seen too much in his lifetime. The villagers were kind-hearted people, and despite his mysterious arrival, they welcomed Baba Olona with open arms. He was given a small hut at the edge of the village, where he lived quietly. Baba Olona rarely spoke of his past, and the villagers never pried. Life in Agbede was peaceful, and no one questioned things that didn't concern them. As time went on, Baba Olona became a familiar face in the village. He often sat under the ancient baobab tree near the market, greeting passersby with a smile. But one day, he announced something that changed everything. I have found a way to support myself, he told a group of women at the market. The women, who had been discussing the rising cost of food, paused and turned to him. That is good, Baba, one of them said. What is it you'll be doing? Baba Olona smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. I've made an arrangement with a trading company in the city. They use old fabric to make bags and other things. If I can supply them with old clothes, they will pay me. The women were delighted. This is wonderful news, Baba. We have always wondered how you manage. This is good for you. But I will need your help, Baba Olona continued. If you have any old clothes, anything you don't need, please give them to me. The women were quick to agree, and soon the entire village was rallying behind Baba Olona. Every week, he would go from house to house with a wooden cart, collecting bundles of old clothes. The villagers were happy to help, feeling it was their duty to support an elderly man trying to make an honest living. Baba, take these old wrappers, a young woman named Abiki said one day. They've been sitting in my trunk for years. Baba Olona's face lit up. Thank you, my daughter. May your kindness be rewarded. Among those who noticed Baba Olona was Taye, a young man who had left Agbede for Lagos but returned to care for his aging mother. One evening, as he sat on the veranda with his mother, Taye spotted Baba Olona passing by with his cart. Who is that man? Taye asked. That's Baba Olona, his mother replied. He's a kind old man who collects old clothes to sell to a company in the city. Taye frowned, his brows furrowing. He looks familiar. I think I've seen him in Lagos before. His mother waved a dismissive hand. It must be a coincidence. Baba Olona is just an old man trying to survive. But Taye couldn't shake the feeling that he had seen Baba Olona somewhere before. Not long after, strange things began happening in Agbede. Prosperous farmers suddenly found their crops failing. Market women complained of losing money inexplicably. A tailor named Mama Sade lamented that customers had stopped coming to her shop. It's as if bad luck is following us, one woman said at the market. Taye, who had been observing everything quietly, noticed the pattern. Mama, he said one evening, have you noticed that things started going wrong after Baba Olona began collecting clothes? His mother frowned. What are you saying, Taye? Baba Olona is harmless. Maybe, but I want to find out more about him, Taye said. The next morning, Taye followed Baba Olona secretly. He watched as the old man went from house to house collecting clothes. But instead of leaving the village, Baba Olona returned to his hut and locked himself inside. Later that night, Taye saw Baba Olona leave his hut with a large sack. He followed him into the dense forest, careful to stay out of sight. After walking for some time, Baba Olona stopped in a clearing. To Taye's horror, The old man emptied the sack onto the ground, revealing a pile of clothes. He poured palm oil over them and lit a fire. As the clothes burned, Baba Olona began to chant in a language Tai didn't understand. The next morning, Tai confronted his mother. Mama, I followed Baba Olona last night. He's not selling the clothes. He's burning them in the forest and chanting over the ashes. His mother gasped. Are you sure of this? Yes, Mama, and I think this is why we are all suffering. Tai decided to investigate further. He traveled to Lagos, where he remembered seeing Baba Olona. He asked around and heard unsettling stories. That man ruined our community, said an old shopkeeper. He collected clothes and used them for rituals. After he left, everything fell apart. When Tai returned to Agbede, he gathered the villagers and shared what he had learned. Baba Olona has been deceiving us, he said. He's using the clothes for something sinister. The villagers were shocked but agreed to confront Baba Olona. That evening, they went to his hut. Inside, they found an altar covered in ashes, beads, and strange carvings. You've been stealing our destinies, one man shouted. Baba Olona tried to deny it, but when the villagers found him in the forest that night, performing his rituals, he confessed. I needed to provide for my children, he said, weeping. This was the only way. Baba Olona explained that his children were cursed due to his past greed and involvement in dark magic. In his youth, he had used forbidden rituals to amass wealth, but his actions angered the gods. As punishment, his children were born with ailments that no doctor could cure, and all the riches he had accumulated disappeared overnight. Desperate to break the curse and save his children, Baba Olona turned to an old sorcerer who told him he needed to gather items tied to people's fortunes, clothes, personal belongings, or anything used frequently. Burning these items while chanting the incantations would transfer their good fortune to his children. However, the sorcerer warned that there would be repercussions. The stolen destinies would bring only temporary relief, and once the ritual's effects wore off, the misfortune would return with greater intensity. Baba Olona, blinded by desperation, ignored the warning. As the villagers destroyed the altar, Baba Olona collapsed, clutching his chest. His last words were a plea for forgiveness. I only wanted to save my children, he whispered before breathing his last. The villagers, though relieved to have uncovered the truth, remained troubled. Weeks later, news reached Agbede that Baba Olona's children were now destitute and suffering even more than before. The curse on their family seemed to have worsened, leaving them to wander from town to town, begging for help. The villagers realized that evil deeds always come with consequences, not only for the perpetrator, but for generations to come. They sought spiritual cleansing to restore balance in the village and vowed never to trust blindly again. The story of Baba Olona became a cautionary tale passed down through generations, reminding everyone that desperation should never lead to evil and that the repercussions of wrongdoing often reach far beyond the wrongdoer. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories. Until next time, stay blessed.